Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Moscova Media Podcast. I appreciate all the loyal listeners, whether you're from India, just realizing I got some listeners in India that are in the marketing. So shout out to my peeps in India. I'm here with you, my friend. Anyway, shout out to all the listeners on iHeart, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio. Appreciate you, Blog Talk. Please keep doing your thing. To all the people, millions of listeners on iHeart and iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, Deezer, Google, soon to be Amazon. Yeah, I want you to ask Alexa to hear my sexy, deep voice. And you know, me and Alexa could get it on. I'm just kidding. So I definitely appreciate the networks that we're on. I appreciate everybody for following us on Twitter, Clubhouse. Now I got to start mentioning, which is cool. Facebook, and you know you can just search Moscova Enterprises on Facebook, on Twitter. We are Moscova ENT, and also on Instagram. You can find me at vmoscova. Also, the company, Moscova Enterprises, where we share tips, a lot of content, also advice, and we're looking to bring a lot cool, awesome, amazing things to the mix that people will love and enjoy. Clubhouse, you know, want to shout you out. Clubhouse, if you're listening, thank you for all the amazing opportunities you have blessed us with. People may not be aware of things like Twitter and LinkedIn and all the other networks that basically can do the same thing. It's just about focus and what you choose to do on it. I've gotten plenty of great jobs. Well, actually, just one great job on LinkedIn. Actually a couple, let me not lie. And then Twitter, you know, if you use that right back in the day, we used to be able to connect with celebrities and everyone alike, but I got a new tool in my arsenal, guys. I'm going to be using it soon, IDMB, however you use those 4 letters, Pro. I'm going to get that joint and then add more to my arsenal. As you know, besides the digital marketing that I've been studying all these years that, you know, really enabled me to do a lot of influencer marketing. Matter of fact, I want to shout out one of my sponsors, Dancing in Life. It's by a fellow who made sure dancing could be used to help people that are going through it in life. Because, you know, sometimes dance and movement will help you meditate or focus in or whatnot. So you can check out dancinginlife.com, one of our wonderful sponsors, hopefully to get more sponsors. Definitely help put on this show and other things I am working on. So it's great to have different income streams, and definitely create your bread and butter, which would be great for everyone if they had a great bread and butter income stream that they can use to invest in other things, which the great Eric Uberman was saying. So definitely check out that podcast. His company has made $75 million thus far. So, you know, definitely taking his advice on income streams and whatnot. But more importantly, today we have an amazing guest. If you're not aware of acting, it is still going on. People are still acting. Movies are still being worked on. TV shows are still being worked on, which means the managers still are working with their clients and looking to assist them. That is why I wanted to bring on today Versa Manos, who is a Los Angeles-based talent manager and owner of Gorgeous Media Group. She brings over 35 years of entertainment and media experience to a roster of clients, which includes actors, writers, directors, and musicians. She is heavily invested in the industry, serving as a member of Film Independent, as an executive member of Women in Film, and is a former president of the Talent Managers Association. Her talent roster boasts a wonderful blend of established celebrities and developmental talent. She represents the interests of supermodel turned actress turned television host Rachel Hunter and celebrated British actor and crooner Richard Shelton. Casting directors and producers have come to trust Versa's fair-minded approach and commitment to her clients. Her clients have appeared in guest starring and co-starring roles on hit television series as The Walking Dead, Criminal Minds Beyond Borders, Jane the Virgin, House of Lies, Magnum, Hawaii Five-0, American Housewife, and among others. So as you can hear, there's a lot of great work that her clients have done and are going to do. Versa's artists are especially driven and passionate about their work. The writers and filmmakers on her roster have won numerous awards and accolades for their work and have screened at international film festivals. With her support, these artists are developing new work and creating original content. Gorgeous Media Group, which was formed in 2013, is an organic extension of Versa's successful media relations firm, Gorgeous PR, which she founded in 2000. Throughout her career, Versa has been a leading media specialist in the global marketplace as internationally recognized as the client she represents. She was voted most in person by Time Out London and was subject of a 3-hour profile on MTV Europe. Versa has also been awarded the coveted Best Independent and the Best Publicist awards by the British music industry. Her political work even earned her the key to West Hollywood. Oh, damn. All right. I didn't know she had the key to West Hollywood. I'm out there. Just kidding. But for real, though. Her career has spanned 3 continents, and she has been involved in all facets of the entertainment industry, representing a variety of artists, musicians, actors, filmmakers, visual artists, and writers. Her work has ranged from talent management to corporate imaging, developing and launching new talent, and maintaining superstar status for established clients. She is also adept at crisis management. Oh, that's a big thing in PR from my time over at AKA Life. I got to learn a lot about PR as they were learning a lot about social media. Additionally, she has held positions in a variety. Hold on, somebody want to text me while I'm on the air. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you. But anyway, as I was saying, let me mute this because I definitely want to focus in because her work has ranged from talent management to corporate imaging, as I was saying, developing and launching new talent and maintaining superstar status for established clients. She is also adept at crisis management. Additionally, she has held positions in a variety of entertainment outlets, radio stations, television networks, and film studios, which gives her a unique insider's perspective. I mean, this lady's done a lot, but I want to make sure y'all understand why, she got first dibs on here. Known for her tenacious spirit, sparkling wit, and a genuine concern for her clients, Versa has been responsible for guiding and maintaining the successful careers of international superstars, including The Police, Quincy Jones, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Dionne Warwick, the Sex Pistols, David Bowie, and the 9 Inch Nails. She played a pivotal role in the success of the Three Tenors at Dodger Stadium, Woodstock 94, and the Sex Pistols' Notorious Filthy Lucrator. She was also singularly responsible for the career breakthroughs of world artist Manu Chao, described by Rolling Stone as one of the 10 great pleasures of the year that didn't get away, and Sam Sparrow, turning her previously underground singer into a world-renowned pop sensation. So Block Talk, if you listening to this, definitely better start Googling her, go on her Instagram, everything, and, start representing and showing support. Versa has also represented the interests of indie films such as Mimi's First Time, The Chinese Dream was shortlisted for an Academy Award, Slingshot, Really Bend It Like Beckham, and Academy-nominated film Bobby, directed by Emilio Estevez. Her career sent the indie documentary Confessions of Eco-Terrorist to Cannes, where they held guerrilla screenings aboard a Sea Shepherd vessel and helped to launch a renewed interest in the New Orleans post-Katrina burlesque revival with the documentary Lost Souls. Her care and integrity have allowed Versa to cultivate long-term relationships with such legendary artists as David J., founding member of the Boo House and Love and Rockets, and alt-country innovator Charlie Terrell, Everclear, the Wailers, as well as Graham Parsons Estate, the Tupac Shakur Estate, and his late mother, Miss Afina Shakur's company, Amuru Entertainment. Wow, that's dope. Versa was instrumental in launching the Tupac Shakur Performing Arts Center in Atlanta, Georgia. So she's not only, so she does it all, so from hip hop to rock to everything. She really wants to assist in the souls of many to greatness. Versa has built a long and successful career caring for artists, musicians, actors, artists, first as a publicist and now a talent manager. She has evolved the ever-shifting landscape of the entertainment industry to continue to develop, guide, and maintain the careers of her clients, and her investment and involvement with the entertainment industry and community comes solely from a desire to help and shape and mold the industry for the future. She was, like I said before, she was the president of the Talent Managers Association, as well as being involved with Film Independent, Women in Film, American Film Institute, and the Women in Film American Film Institute and the American Film Institute. So as you see, guys and girls, this woman has done a lot of great things, and a lot more great things will be coming. That is why I am honored to have her on the line to bless us. Ms. Versa, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for stopping by the podcast. Your work and everything you've done is just so amazing. I'm sure people tell you that every day, but I'm telling you today.
They don't.
Oh, well, I'm giving you flowers now.
I don't know whether it's because they don't tell me, or just I'm running so fast I'm not listening. You know, it's one of the two.
Well, they'll be in your dust, and if they want to run next to you, they'll catch up.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Word up.
How am I doing? I'm doing great. Sorry.
You said what?
I said it just clicked there for a second on my end. So what were you saying? I've done a lot of things.
Oh yes, such amazing, great work, and you've worked with so many different kinds of talent, and you're amazing talent manager to this day with your own company. What actually made you want to start your own company and start working with talent?
Well, it started a long time ago. I think I always felt that when I was in company meetings, whether it was in record labels or fashion houses or the different places that I was working in, I always felt that I knew that the company or the decisions they were making, the executives were making, were not always the right choices. Sometimes they hit it spot on, but just in the other times I would sit there and I get really frustrated, and sometimes you'd have these exchanges in the meeting, in the corporate meeting room, and you'd get your point of view across, but not everybody wants to hear another alternative when you've already got this thing in motion, whether it's a campaign for something or whether you're going to be doing a launch over here or fly people in to do some kind of promotion. So it was always, the timing was always off, or something was always off. And there was always a spark in me that said, I don't necessarily want to keep being told by people who don't understand the culture of what we're working in. And that was the one thing that got me inspired to kind of work on my own, because I could work all hours of the day or night. I mean, I've always been a very hard worker, and I always like results. I always like to see, what results can we get for our clients, regardless whether I was working in a company or not, or even on my own. And that made me feel better about the amount of work I did, because it had more meaning to what I was doing, as opposed to doing something and going against, they would tell you what to do, say this is what we need to happen, and you knew that was not going to be the right course of action. particularly when you're doing PR, because with PR, you need strategies, you need viewpoints, you need angles. When I was working in London, you had 10, 11 daily papers, and then you had, equally as many Sunday papers. So you're looking at a lot of information that you had to provide them. And when you were working on A-list artists, they all wanted information, but they did not want the same information as what the other paper had. So you constantly had to come up with ideas and say, how are we going to make this work? They need a story, and so on. So that was a key point, and sometimes when you're told your idea is not going to work, then it doesn't vibe. I worked for a major radio station, and they were changing the morning presenter. They were changing him from like the 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. slot to the latest slot, the 11 to 2 slot. And I said to them, I said, I'm going to call the paper. I'm going to, the big paper that was in the area. I said, we're going to call them. I'm going to set up a huge photo shoot, and we're going to get this featured in there. And they were like, oh, don't be so ridiculous. Why would anyone want to do that? And I said, well, don't talk, just get into action. So that's what I did, and we were on the front page of the paper, and the ratings went through the roof. And so there's always the consequence of your actions. So if you're going to do this, that's going to happen. And a lot of the time, what a lot of corporate companies don't do is they want this to happen over here, but they don't realize that the consequences of that may be this. And so they don't listen. They don't want to listen. They think they're right. And, I don't want to go to work every day thinking I've got to argue my point all throughout the day. Like, this is how we need to do this campaign, and so it's hard. And when you're on your own, you're still answerable to your clients, but you can put it in a way that you can help them. You can help them see that this strategy and a combination of strategies can make things work. And they love it. They love working with you because you're giving them options, you're giving them alternatives, and that's exactly what you want for your career. You want someone to give you an alternative. Like, it may not seem right to you, but if it doesn't seem right, then how can we make it right? And if you explain the steps that are needed and show them how it works, then nothing is better than having that collaboration with your client. So,
right. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and just, just if you're a young, no matter what you are, whether you're a young artist that's singing, no matter what kind of singing you do, whether it's hip-hop, whether it's rap, whether it's, all kinds of, funk fusion, whether it's electronic, drum and bass, or whether you're pop or R&B or rock or indie rock or shoegazing rock or, whatever it is, or whether you're a young actor, or whether you're a painter, or whether you're, a properly trained, Juilliard-trained musician, whatever you are, there's a way in which your creative mind works that somehow you need to, people need to understand the way that creative minds work, because not everybody understands them. Because the way that creative people think is not, for you and me, it's a very different process. We're like, okay, you need to be here at, 11 o'clock because we've got to do this photo session. And they'll go, okay. And in their minds, they have it in their minds that they're going to be there at 11. And if you don't go and pick them up and go over to their house, hey, get your stuff. We've got to get there by 11. It may not happen at 11. It may happen at 1. And it's a real drag sometimes, but that's the way they think. And sometimes what you do is tell them, hey, you need to be here an hour earlier. Like if the session is at 11, you say, well, you got to be there at 10 so that hour that they may think, you've got that leeway with them. And it's exciting, it's funny, and it's life. That's the best part about it. It's life. And you have fun along the way trying to get things moving. But when you get whoever your client is, and you sit them down and say, look, this is the process. If you really want to do this, then you really need to be in love with what you do. If you don't love what you do, then you're going to miss out. Now, some musicians, they don't necessarily love what they do. That may be the second thing, but what they love is the business that they're in.
Uh-huh.
So their idea is, I'm in this, I'm going to make money, and I've got this talent, and I'll make that talent work for me. That's great too. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But just as long as you know that your heart's in whatever you're doing, because if you don't have that, you don't have that love, nothing resonates outside of that. You'll go as far as you can for the energy and the love that you have for what you do. And there are a lot, history shows you how many artists go out there, do one hit wonder, and never do anything again, because whatever it was within them got them to that place, elevated them, but there's no foundation of thought and process and emotional. Hang on a second. There's no emotional
acumen,
process.
maybe. Oh.
Yeah, because if you don't love what you do, when you're in that center place of yourself, and you're going out for something, whether it's an audition or whether you're going to a show or whatever it is, whether you're an opera singer, it doesn't really. What really matters is that vibration that you have inside yourself, that energy, that spark within you. That's what's going to bring the things to you. Because ultimately, that vibration is going to get you to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. And when you are like that, your journey would be faster than if you try to outthink it all the time. I think we should do this. I think we should do that. But no. I mean, I've seen it over and over and over and over again, where companies look at somebody and go, oh, that's not going to work because, we don't care about them. We need to care about these artists over here that are A-listers, or these, these people who we think we're going to put our money into. And then suddenly, as out of nowhere, this artist will emerge because of the way that they are about their craft. And it's amazing to see. Whitney Houston was like that. I worked with Whitney for about 9 to 10 years in the UK. I was her press agent in the UK. And I met her when she didn't even have a record put out. I met her and we talked, and she was just this incredibly beautiful individual. I mean, she really was, And when she sang, the whole world listened. And look at, and this is what the love of your craft is. When you love what you do, it remains. She's left behind this incredible legacy. And it doesn't matter whether look at Robert De Niro. When you look at the work that he put into his films, when you look back, when you start at the beginning of his career with Mean Streets, I mean that performance was explosive. You thought he was going to jump out of the screen at you because it was so explosive, and he was so present, and you just blown away. And all you can do is pick up the phone and call people. Hey, you got to go see this film. You got to see this new actor. He's incredible. And that's what you have to do. You got to get people talking, and you only get people talking when you've got something of real value to offer.
Definitely.
And you see that, right?
Yeah, that's making sense. Because you've been able to think out the box for so long, and it seems like you've had to deal with patriarchy or no.
Absolutely.
Right. As a woman,
Absolutely.
and I even though I'm a man, I don't necessarily get first dibs on patriarchy. As a African American Haitian man, so I can relate with women on that aspect. But as a woman, and obviously you've had to have a lot of successes and a couple failures along the way. But how have you dealt with patriarchy and its sometimes sabotagey and negative based?
It's very when I was when I was growing up, it was all about patriarchy, and there was nothing about the matriarchy was really left at home, take care of kids, and I never wanted to do that. I never had that feeling that I needed to give up my life and my name, which I refused to do, for a man. That was something that was so far beyond me that I was like, what do you mean? I've got a life to live. I've got the world to see. This was when I was like 14. I was like, I got to get out there. I got to see the world. I want to see how people live. I want to see the different cultures and just life on a different level. And it was, look, I mean, I grew up in Greece. I mean, when I was in the process of trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I left high school, and now it was time to go to university. And my mother said, look, why don't you just take some time off and get a job and see how the world is around you? I said, okay. So I go to one of the big esopathuses like Shell in Greece. And I go to an interview with the marketing director there, and we're chatting away, and I'm like, yes, I can do all these things. I was working on different things from a very young age. I always liked to work. And he kept looking at me. I said, why are you looking at me? He goes, forget about the job. You're the best thing for my son. I think you should marry my son. And I went, what?
Wow.
So I got up and left. It's like, what kind of, dare I say it, a-hole is going to, you're in there for a job. I mean, you're not there to get married, to hook up with his son.
Right.
Get out of here, And that
right.
was but that's the culture, and that was the attitude at the time. But it was a very, very different world than it is today. And, the Me Too movement exposed a lot of that systemic, kind of power over that men have over women. And it took everybody's breath away, but except the women. The women were going, yes, it's been going on for years, decades, centuries, And so there's you have to take pause. And I know for me, if I didn't have arguments and I didn't push my thoughts and feelings and just go, look, I know you want this, but I'm going to do that. And I need to find a way around that corner into something else to make you happy. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
yes, I couldn't go the straight line. Like if you're a guy, say you're just straight out of college and you want a job. If you're a guy at that point, you want a job, it was a linear road to success. So you would go in whatever, like with CAA, you'd go into the mailroom, then you become an assistant, then or second or third assistant, depending on which agent you're going to be working for. And you'd be there from 7 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night, and you'd get paid miserly amounts of money. But at the end of that road was a lucrative job as an agent. So you put up with it because then the only way to learn it was to be there. But as a woman, you wouldn't necessarily even go to the mailroom because that's where all the gossip was, because you'd take the trolley all around to the offices and drop off their mail, and you'd catch up on every bit of gossip that was going, the kind of the did you know so-and-so, whatever quit, or did you know so-and-so just got a raise and it's like $1 million raise. You get all of those kind of conversations. With women, you'd go into assistant, and if you're lucky, you'd go into coordinator. And if you're really, truly lucky, you may go into HR, And,
Wow.
it wasn't that often that people would consider a woman to go straight up the ladder. It was always you had to zigzag your way up, and you had to fight hard. And, and make sure that whatever you're talking about had resonance, you know. So,
right.
For instance, if you're looking at, say, I wanted a job as an agent at that time, I don't think I'll would ever had that opportunity. But the fact that I used to work and get results. I mean, I remember when I was in London, I looked after this. He was a sort of a semi-jazz musician called Joe Jackson. And I went on holiday and came back, and everyone's saying, "Yeah, we've got this guy Joe Jackson's album's coming out. You know, we've scheduled it." And I took a look at it, and went to see him and meet him, which none of the other people had done at the time, except for the A&R department that signed him. And I went to several shows, thought, wow, he's got an interesting story. He was a bit of a Lenny Bruce type, you know, great jazz musician. So he was kind of lived in the middle, but nobody could see that. What they could see was this guy who was pretending to be Elvis Costello, you know. And I ended up going full out. I got him on every magazine cover. In fact, His manager called me and said, "You've got to stop the publicity. It's becoming embarrassing. He's everywhere." And so, right? But if I was a guy, if I was a guy, they would have slapped me on the back and gone, "Hey, mate, great job." Because I'm a female, they're going to put you down because you've got him on every, you know, music magazine cover. You got him listed everywhere, you know. Every paper ran stories on him, every magazine. When I mean every magazine, I mean every magazine from, like, you know, the equivalent to like Vanity Fair was Tatler. They had a story on him there. I mean, it was incredible. And I got him on TV everywhere. And you're like, well, isn't that the idea that you have exposure? You know, how are you going to sell an album without people knowing about it? And so, you know, and then my boss was, at the time, got his nose put out of joint, didn't like it. So I got given a hard time because the success the company wants, you're doubly penalized because, on one hand, you know, they don't really want your opinion. They just want you to get the job done. So you go get the job done. Then when you do get the job done and do a really freaking a fantastic job, then you've got your boss being jealous and, you know, taking things away from you because they don't want you to do it, you know. It's pretty extraordinary. And they're always telling you, see, the thing that I grew up with was no. And when I hear a no, I have to make it a yes for me.
Right.
And that's propelling me into action, you know. It's like, oh, you don't want me to do that? I'll show you. I've calmed down on that now. But, you know, in my 20s, I was definitely the fiery one. And definitely, you know, definitely the kind of person who was going to stand up and say, this is all nuts, you know. And sometimes when you're in those board meetings, you don't particularly want to stand up and speak because you're going to be blasted. If you're not saying the right thing at that right time, I think even the men probably intimidated too. And you kind of, you know, you have that moment where you sit there and say, you know what, I'm just going to listen. I'm going to listen and listen. And I think that's what a lot of people don't do now. They want to talk all the time. It's like I would listen and take notes and think, okay, that's the choice they're making over here. Then what are we doing over there? Because you need two sides balanced, you know. And you take notes and you go, okay. And it took me quite a while. I'd say what I needed to report in the meetings, but I would never offer commentary, you know, or it was always very kind of brief. But then as I listened more and I took more in and I understood what was needed, you know, it took 10 years or so before I could really stand up and present something at a meeting, because I didn't want to be told to sit down. That's not where I was at. And when, you know, you can be told that all the time, like, be quiet, shut up, you know, what are you talking about? You know what you're talking about, even though you probably do know what you're talking about. But, you know, to them it's a very different scenario. So I went into PR. I went into PR because that was the desired choice for women. It was like, okay, it was all taken by men. It was taken over by men, and then women started getting into it, and it suited. I think. I mean, this is very sexist what I'm saying. It suited women more because they're more detail orientated. They're going to look at the details and kind of pull it to pieces. Like, okay, what are all the things that we can put together? Whereas a guy's attitude is, okay, we're just kind of we're going to put things together, but all the details we're going to get the girls to do, the assistants or the coordinators, and that's a very different process.
Right. Which is why women usually plan the weddings or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're planning.
Right. So you definitely had to deal with a lot as far as patriarchy. What would be some tips you have for I guess women or underprivileged people or people dealing with patriarchy still to get past it in this day and age or from your experience?
I think, look, there are phenomenal resources at your fingertips on a computer. There are phenomenal books in the library. If you want to go and take full advantage of the library, read everything you can. I read voraciously. I read every single day. I would read. I mean, I would get home, because when you're going to shows every night, whether they were DJ shows or rock shows or whatever they were, you'd get home, 2, 3 in the morning. I would still read for half an hour before I went to bed. And I'd wake up in the morning and I'd read. I was always reading. I'd read all the 10 papers, and when I was in London, I read the 10 papers that I had to read every day. I'd go through them to see what information would help me provide something for somebody else. And, I mean, this takes me back to Tupac. I mean, I remember Afeni Shakur telling me that when Tupac was 10 or 11, she would make him do the New York Times crossword puzzle every single day.
Wow.
And when you hear that, you can understand why he became such a great lyricist. Because when you putting that effort in, trying to figure it out, when you're 10 or 11, I mean, adults in their 60s can't figure it out half the time, and he would turn it around. Like it took him a little bit of time to get used to it, but when he got it, he would turn it around real fast because he started understanding the lay of the land, and he would write it out, and it'd be like, yeah, you did it, and it was such an amazing thing for a kid to learn and to be confident in doing. The thing that parents don't do enough of, I think they overprotect their children, they're helicopter parents, and they don't push them. When they do push them, they push them too far. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like they want them to be A grade students, and in the end, those kids they turn on themselves because they need to have meaning. And when you give somebody a New York Times puzzle and say, "Here, figure this out," and it takes them a couple of weeks to figure it out. In that process of figuring out, there's a whole lot of logic and intellect that's going on, trying to create and find those words that are going to fit into that puzzle to make it work. And that's what life is. It's about understanding what it is, the right, it's like the square hole in the round, whatever that is, the square peg in the round hole. It's like that, and it's figuring it out. Everything is not linear. Life is not linear. Life happens on so many different levels. And that's why you've got to always look at what else can happen. What else can I be thinking about? It's not this is what I've got. It's what else can I do? What difference can I make? What can I read? What can I see on YouTube? What can I Google that I can bring something up that's going to help me in my life? And look, when I was growing up, we had none of that. There was nothing. Look, we didn't even have. Look, the way that I worked, I used to have a typewriter on my lap. I used to have the phone on the arm of the sofa because my boss wouldn't give me a desk. And I used to have my notebook because he didn't want me to succeed, because I was a smart ass to him.
Yo, that's crazy.
Right?
That's like abuse.
But the thing, but that's what I did. I had the typewriter. And the thing is like, when I used to make probably about 200, 230, 40 phone calls a day. That's how many phone calls you had to get through every day, to kind of get your job done. And it was just literally, like picking up the phone and like, hey, I've got this album, I've got this happening. And then, you make your notes and then put the phone down and you start dialing again. There was no time in the day. You never, ever misspent any time of the day. Because every moment lost was, just added up to more time being lost. So you'd have to, just jump in and make everything happen. And I've been like that ever since. You need to make that happen, then do it now. Why not do it now? Because you're asking me, well, the best time to get it done is pick up the phone and do it. But if you don't arm yourself with information is key. Education information is key. And I think what a lot of actors don't do is they don't do that. They don't arm themselves with information, and they don't educate themselves how to do the job that they need to do. And one of the most important things, it's like, I mean, you've been on those rooms in Clubhouse where the same question comes up every single, all the time, maybe 20 times in one session, where they say, what do I do to get into acting, or how do I do this? Well, the world is right at your fingertips with your computer. Look it up. Look it up. What's wrong with looking it up? Why are you asking me? When, in a way, asking me makes your job easier. But the most important thing is the adventure of what you're doing, isn't it? Don't you want to be kind of excited? That you go to class and you're reading and you're making things happen and you've got meaning in your life, in a way and those words that you're reading and the things that you're seeing and doing, that's just adding wood to the fire that burns within your soul to create the legacy, ultimately, that you want to leave behind. I mean, that's my thought, I don't know how you are. How are you on that?
Well, as far as the journey and learning and experiencing, one thing I like to do is not have to make mistakes and learn from my own mistakes, but to learn from others' mistakes, usually put in book form. Now we have YouTube, podcasts,
oh, my God, endless.
Right, there's YouTube University where you can basically learn anything. And it's allowing a lot of people to get lazy when you could just have your phone and it can basically look up everything for you. But sometimes people don't even want to use that. So for me, at least, I know putting in the work will help me learn what I need to do, which is even when I used to work, menial jobs at like Burger King or restaurants and stuff, I would always kind of want to learn all the different positions, even though that they may not have been my job, just so that I can, I like learning, for one, and then it helped me maybe do my job and see other aspects of where other people may be coming from, what the manager's stress might be, or, the bar back stresses, and, just try to be more human and understanding. While at the same time, realizing more so now that you can't really let people use you, because if they're not willing to do the work for themselves, they're definitely not going to do it for you or be there for you necessarily, or they might be, but, it just shows the people that when you see greatness in certain people, for me at least, when I see greatness, it's easy to see it in like basketball players when they get in the zone, because I've been in that zone before on a court where it seems like nothing can miss. And, we have a lot of people, especially these days, talk about that, whether it be aha moments with Oprah, or, Michael Jordan, or, Michael Phelps, 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 or, Michael Phel to Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now. But basically just getting into quantum physics and using your time and energy, which however you want to see it, whether you think, energy is infinite and it may never die, but our time in these bodies on Earth may be limited, and it'd be wise for one to figure out what their purpose is and to live it, because it might be something that they love and want to do. And not only that, it's providing something to others that, like, whether you believe in God or not, like, everyone has a purpose and may be here for a reason. And if one taps into that, they can self-actualize that into something that manifests into greatness. And, when we see these basketball players, it's not only them that can get into the zone,
No, that's what I'm saying. It's everybody, isn't it? It's everybody. I love watching whether sports people perform, whether it's ice skaters, whether it's basketball players, whether it's football players, golf players, because you can see it. Like, I was watching the game on Saturday, and I was watching there were two college teams playing basketball, and I knew that the guy was going to either get it in or not. And you could see it by not only his body language, but the way that he held his hand up to flick it. It was almost like he was off balance, or there was something, and he would miss it, or he'd get it in. And you knew it because they weren't focused. They weren't present. When they were, they could shoot, they could shoot the hoops from the middle of the court if they want to,
Right.
And you could look at Tiger Woods' career, when a lot of the emotional stuff started happening to him, it affected him as a person, as a player. And so he was missing everything. When his dad died, oh my God, bless his soul, when his dad died, he went completely off, completely off the map, because he couldn't focus, because he needed that presence of his father to be there. And that energy, that combined energy that occurs in situations like that, is really important. It was really important to his career. Whereas when you look at Michael Jordan as a basketball player, when you see how, like, his fire was raging, that he wanted to win, he just took every shot, he took every pass, he pushed through, and not everybody can do that. And that's the same in business. There's no difference. The energy is very similar in all of those ways, because when you're focused and you really are in tune with what your intention is, and what it's not about, I need to think about doing that. It's about, I am going to do that, or I am doing it, and you become it. And then you don't think about it, because when you get into action, that's when it all happens. See, your radio show couldn't happen unless there was an action involved by you to make it happen, right?
Yeah, right. Putting the pieces together to manifest it.
Exactly. And that's no different. You could, if you didn't do that, it wouldn't happen. And that's the same with those basketball players, or those football players, or those golfers, or whoever. But the way when you watch those teams rowing on the lakes, when you watch them rowing, and you watch them when they're all harmonized and they're all in that zone, that boat just glides through the water. It's just the most beautiful thing. But and the ones that are not, when they're just that nanosecond off, you can see there's an imbalance in the boat. The boat's not going to go as fast if you don't have both sides aligned. You've got the left and the right rowers. You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference.
Definitely.
You see, so it applies whether it also applies whether you're an actor, whether you're a director, whether you're a producer, whether you're a creative individual, right? When you're, that's what it takes. You've got to step out of the idea of it into the action of it. And that's the difference between, Steve Jobs and some person working in a computer store or thinking, I've made this computer and nobody's going to see it. He just went into action. He was, I've heard everywhere he was not a nice man. He yelled and screamed at everybody. But maybe that's what he had to do to get his vision made and done,
That level of damn near perfection, right?
Yeah, and that's what it takes. And, and see, my job as a manager is to assist the souls of those creative minds to achieve the greatness that they need to achieve. That's my job. I'm there. If I can see them, sometimes, you overwork, you're tired, you start make decisions that are not quite right. So my job is just to finesse and keep them on the road where they need to be, both on a creative level, not necessarily, I'm more on the emotional and spiritual level. Like you really got to get focused and breathe and eat properly and sleep well, and those basic human needs are the first step to how you're going to get your work done. Because if you're tired, when have you been tired and been able to write creatively or produce something that's going to blow you out of the water?
Right, because your emotions are affected.
Everything's tied up. But when you're rested and you eat well and all of that, your head's clear, your body's like, yes, we're getting tuned up, let's make it happen, and you're going to succeed, you know it, and there's no question about it. Like with Whitney and Sting and the police and all those people, they knew they were going to succeed. There was no doubt in their minds about, whether they were going to succeed or not. They were absolutely on the path to success. The only difference they didn't know was when. And the when comes is when you make the right decisions to take you from one level to the next, to the next, to the next. Because that's what it's about. Treat yourself well, and you'll be treated well in the sense that you're going to still have your battles along the way. That's a given. That's everyday life. We can't get past that. So, the journey is always of take care of yourself, and then the rest of the world will pay attention to you. And and that's why you have all of those bright stars just disappear, because they can't. They get caught up in all kinds of things they shouldn't be, because it's so painful sometimes when you're going through when you are a creative person and you're going through a crisis about how you want to do your next fashion shoot, or you want to do you design your next, building, whatever. There's a process that goes on in you, and that process can be overwhelming. And sometimes you just need somebody to kind of go, it's going to be all right. You're fine. You're on track. And to believe in you, that's a true, that's when you're a true help to your clients, when you believe in them and you're there for them. And, look, I'm a mother, but I'm not a mother to my clients. I just don't believe in that. I believe in caring, but people get confused with caring and mothering, and that's a big issue that I have. But because you care, it means that you're a person who cares, not a person who's going to get into a whole matriarchal situation with someone, Right.
Which would be the other side of the pendulum, instead of a balance of a person doing what they can do for themselves while using whatever resources they can put around them. When you were 14, if you didn't make certain decisions, good and right decisions, you wouldn't be able to have a lot of successes.
Right, because I was always fighting. This is what I want. I mean, fortunately for me, I had a father who believed in me, and I thought that was just simply incredible that, he asked me one day, I must have been, I was younger than 14, I was probably 12 or 11. And he said to me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to write. That's what I want to do. I want to write. I want to be, and at that time I was wanting to be a journalist. And he said to me, okay. Then he disappeared, and he came back and said, get dressed. I went, what? He goes, get dressed, get changed, because I was in my school uniform. He goes, let's go. So I had to go get changed, go with him. Went into town where they were selling typewriters. And we walked in. He goes, which one do you want? I mean, I had no idea, I had no idea which typewriter I wanted. I kept staring at them going, these are fantastic typewriters, and they're worth a lot of money. And, there was a big decision to be put on me. But he said, take it. Take one of those, and we're going to take them home. I go, okay. So I pointed at one. It was a Remington, and we went home. And I typed after that, I did a little typing course. And I learned how to type and would write all the time. I found it freeing to be able to write.
That's awesome, and
yeah.
And that's another way parents can help steer their kids in the right direction and out of trouble.
Absolutely. Kids are kids. They want to play, they want to discover, and they want to push boundaries because they want you to be a parent. They don't want you to be a friend. They want you to be the parent. And when you're the parent, when you give them the emotional boundaries of how far they can go, that's when they push against it and succeed, or they stay in it because they know that they're being protected on an emotional level. So they soar either way, they can soar. But you've got to let them, if you are going to be on the boundaries, you've got to let them create their own, they've got to be themselves. You can't make them versions of you. Because when you make them versions of you, they'll grow up to hate you.
Right.
They'll grow up to resent you for taking something away from them, the childhood that they wanted to have. But they don't necessarily tell you that. They'll act it out. And you can see all kinds of acting out that's going on. But when somebody cares, I mean, look, how many films have you seen where you've got somebody caring for that person? And caring in the sense that they take interest and they want to nurture that creativeness in that person. It's fantastic. It's just an amazing thing to see that happen in front of you and see the shift that happens, the confidence that person will have, whether you're male or female. I mean, it's an amazing thing, and that's the same with acting. Acting is is on that same par because you've got an actor will be in that moment, and when they're in that moment, and they know how far they can go. They just don't know how many risks they can take in that space. And when they do, and they give you such extraordinary performances, you can't. It's everyone talks about it. Like everyone's talking about Bridgerton right now. Just the story, whatever, all of that. But it's a unique story. So it's such an amazing shift away from having, that kind of stiff upper lip English cult, kind of establishment coming in with this whole other tangent that's saying, hey, we're here, pay attention. So that's that's a different way of looking at things, you see. I mean, when you do good writing, like the Ozarks, or, Aaron Sorkin can get a bit long-winded and, preach a little bit. But, I mean, his dialogue is excellent, When you look at the stuff, when you look at Denzel, when you look at the work that he does, I mean, he's present, he's there, he's unmistakable in who he is, right?
Right.
And as a manager, you want to give your artists and your clients and your talent, your actors, you want to give them as many resources that you can give them to help them achieve the dreams that they want to achieve. And it's up to them to make sure that they follow through. If it doesn't make sense, if that relationship with that manager doesn't make sense because you're not feeling the vibe, then don't blame them, blame yourself, because you're not really being responsible to what your dreams are. So go with people who are going to be part of your team. They're going to make your dreams come true. And nobody achieves their dreams without a team. I don't care who they are. Whether you're Pope of the Catholic Church, you have a whole team of people. Whether you're the president, you've got a whole team of people. You know, whether you're Michael Jordan or whoever you are. You know, whether you're Tom Brady, there's always a team of people that are there to help you. Whether you're Oprah Winfrey, she didn't do it on her own. She may have pushed herself, forward in that space, but then she created her company, and she's got a whole company that makes her dream come true. But she can't do it without those people. And she's as good as them as they are, do you know what I'm saying? She's as good as they are. Because when you have that team in place that supports your vision and helps push that vision forward, it's a phenomenal thing. And I'm so excited that more and more women are getting to be heads of major companies and running businesses and being their own person, because that's what's needed. We've got to step forward as women and make our lives happen. Because if we don't, we can't blame anybody. We've got to make our own decisions. And, there's that, I'm trying to think of that movie with Michelle Pfeiffer about, and, she was a teacher. Was it Gangster Paradise? I think that was the song, and I'm just trying to think of what the film was. And she said, you don't have to get on the bus. And that's how I feel about life. Don't get on that bus if it's not for you. If you're getting on a bus and people on the bus are causing you problems, why do you keep getting on the bus every single day? But don't get on the bus. Try something else. Get a bike. Whatever you have to do, or get the bus at another time. But don't keep getting on the bus, because the same thing's going to happen every single day. And you'll never achieve your dreams when you give up your decisions and your responsibilities for yourself. So, as we were saying earlier, read, arm yourself, not with stupid weapons, but arm yourself with a weapon of knowledge, the weapon of education. That's a knowledge. That's a powerful weapon. And then you become, no one can ignore you. You're unmistakable. You're absolutely, and that's what, whether you're, if whatever you want to be, wherever you want to be, wherever you are in the world, you've got to take control of your life. It's not about, all that juju stuff that some of these new media people, those new things are saying. It's about your situation. What is it? Look, I snuck out. I love sports, like beyond belief. I had such a love for sports, but my mother thought it was very unladylike for a girl to be going to play sports. So I used to have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I used to put on my sports clothes. I used to get on the bus, travel down to the track. I used to work out for an hour and a half. An hour and a half, 2 hours if I could push it. Get on the bus, go home, get back into bed and pretend I'd just woken up. And I did that for a long time. Because ultimately it's about the decision. I mean, you don't know at the time. I was just so determined that I wanted to play sports. I would do whatever it had taken to do it. But do you understand what I'm saying? It's like you can't accept the given, because the given isn't always right. And as long as you question it, and as long as you see where you fit in and be responsible for your place to how to make it work, and find the thing that you love the very most to do, things will go well for you. And if you know, because the way I see it through life and through all of those so successful people that I have worked with, what they've done is they had that linear path to success. They knew that they were going to be successful, and pushed and pushed and pushed, and not let everything, you know, get in their way. No matter how many obstacles you have, when you're truly centered, when you're truly present in your life, those obstacles do go away. But the more that you go side, what? Yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah, I was just saying, wow.
So what were you saying?
Oh, no, I was just saying, oh, wow, that was an excellent point.
That's great.
But go ahead. As far as, because you kind of segued into how a lot of, I guess, actors and, I guess, other people kind of ask the same type of questions on Clubhouse. What would be some tips that you have for them that, you know, they can move forward?
So, you know what? The Google is alive with answers to their questions. You know, I mean, I go onto YouTube. It's got hundreds and hundreds of videos that they can watch about how to be an actor, what's the next step, what to do, how to get a great headshot, how to get a great audition, how to get a great reel to put together. You know, it's a question of putting time and energy into what you want to do. No one's going to become a doctor without studying and understanding what each body part is and how best to heal it and put it back together again. As an actor, that's what you do. You pull things apart to bring them back together, and there's a version of you always in the roles that you're going to perform. Bring yourself to the audition. Bring yourself to that role. And the only way to do that is to be present. And by being present, I mean knowing that you're wanting to do this because you want to do it, not because somebody said that, oh, you're so good looking, you should be an actor, or because you want fame and fortune, because that leaves you very quickly when you don't have it connected.
Right, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of these actors can do a lot of work themselves.
You see, if you want to know about your life, turn around and look back and see what you've done to make it happen. Look at those footprints. Look at the dots. Connect the dots in your life to show you where you've gone. And now you're here in this moment. What are you going to do? And you can only look at what your life has been, or what hasn't happened, or what has happened when you look back. But you're at any moment of your life, no matter where you are, at this moment, you can make a difference. What is that difference going to be? You know, I hear in these incredible stories on Clubhouse, you know, there's men talking about having gone to jail and spent time and, you know, lost their lives. But somehow, the minute they turned around and looked at what is the footsteps in the sand behind them, the dots that connected their lives to this moment, and realized that they made some silly mistakes, stupid mistakes, ridiculous, horrible mistakes in their lives. And the minute they get that, this is not about guilt. This is just about facts. You know, I don't want to judge anyone because we all have our stories to tell. And in telling your story, you can change your past because you made a decision at this moment to make it better and different. And that's where I'm at with my clients. Like, you've got to make it different. You've got to make it happen because you're in control of it. You can't blame other people. You can't be 35 years old and blame your parents. Well, you know, you turned adult at 18, 19. You're an adult, you know. And so at that age, you can find out that you can go for therapy, you can go to youth counseling, you can go for sports to get a lot of that anger out, or whatever it is that you're going through, but not to sit in it and blame everybody else. That's not right either.
Not right. It's not empowering at all. Looking back at oneself.
Looking back over one's life, you're not empowered when you're not really thinking about your life and understanding the choices you make today are going to affect what's going to happen to you tomorrow, the day after, next week, next month, next year, next decade, and so on. And what's going to and also along the way, the choices you make along the way need to be good choices for you. They may not be good choices for somebody else, but for you, these are the best choices you're going to make right now. And, and if you're a young man, those choices will eventually be given to your children. And they will carry that through to, through their lives because you've taught them a certain way of thinking. And that's how you make a difference in lives, and helping people and making them, just a helping hand. Do you need something? What can I help you with? They're going to say no most of the time, but sometimes they may say yes. So yeah, do help. Right. But
right.
But life is what you make it. Life is who you are. If who you are is where you're at in your life. That's and if you want to make life different, then make it different. Don't sit and wallow in the misery of it, but look and see what you can do in your life to make a difference, to make yourself smile and go, yeah, I did that today. That's amazing. Because last night I started a room on Clubhouse going, let's celebrate the success you had today. What success did you have today? People are coming up with all kinds of amazing stories. And that's what it's about, I picked up the keys to my first house, one woman was saying, and we were all clapping and cheering for her. Somebody else said, yeah, I booked an audition, a national audition. We all clapped again, and that's what we need. We need to feel like, somebody cares about us, It's so important.
Right. That human connection is definitely important. It's just amazing. I had, not to get too personal, but I had a neighbor who actually passed away recently, and she was there for a couple of days before her family came and checked up on her. So it's just kind of, you always person feels like they can do. There's something they could have did different for that person, but really it's what that person
does. After the fact, though, right? Yes, but that's after the fact. Too late, Right. It's like it's too late. What? I mean, I used to call my parents, even though they lived thousands of miles away. I used to call my parents every single day, and if they didn't answer the phone, I would call and call. Maybe I'd call 10, 15 times until I got someone on the phone that said, "Yeah, we're okay." And but that's what one needs to do. You've got to care enough to say, I'm going to turn up for them. And it's not about them, you expect, they took care of you. Like, that was that woman was somebody's mother, somebody's sister, somebody, there was all this, she couldn't have been just there on her own. Or maybe she was, right. I don't know. But there are other people, there's other people involved. But I see what you're saying, and I understand that completely.
Right. But then again.
But anyway, I was just wanting to kind of say, that one's life as a manager takes on many different many different ways, and not everybody understands it. Everyone has their own version of it, which is great. My version is this, what I'm explaining to you. I can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. It's very hard to work with people like that.
Right, which is the point I was trying to get to. You can put all the resources in front of somebody, bring them to the water, but until they drink, and then feel happy about that drink too, because you may give them water to drink, and they need to feel nourished and happy about it, and that's something that someone has to really empower themselves to figure out how they're going to do that. Whether it be little wins every day and putting them together and, trying not to dwell on the negativity. But people wouldn't write all these self-help books and different things if there wasn't some sort of systematic way to achieve some sort of greatness. It doesn't have to be winning an NBA championship or an Oscar, or it could be, but it depends on what type of work one's going to put in to actually kind of be in the place that it could maybe happen. So it takes a lot of focus with that. And I know you're a busy woman. You have like hundreds of emails to probably answer. I didn't want to take all your time.
This is true.
But this conversation is on like another level, because a lot of, talent, and being a good actor is kind of the main part, but, there's probably a lot of talented people that didn't do the right work or made the right choices. But with people like you in the world that can guide people and direct them, I know in due time, we'll find a balance in this world.
Absolutely.
Where we can work and do things that we love every day and feel nourished.
Right. And what's interesting too is, there's a sadly actually that when you say to people, call me if you want, I will always answer my phone, and I'll always offer help if I can. And I'm an adult, and if I can tell you that, and I can call you back. Or if maybe your line of questioning may not be for me, or however it is. But if you don't ask, you'll never know. And that's the thing that we all need to ask ourselves. You've got to ask. I'm asking all the time. Ask myself, what can I learn? What can I achieve by this? How can I get better? And that's something that's got to be instilled in people from the very beginning, no matter who they are, what they are. It doesn't matter. But you've got to, for me, I have to want more. I want my life to be better. I want to know and understand what's out there for me to learn and for me to understand. And hopefully, the people who I work with have the same feeling,
I hear that. We have Kate, because we're actually on Clubhouse as well. We have Casey in the audience. I was just wondering, Casey, you're on your mic is open. Did you have a question for Versa?
No, sorry, I didn't realize my mic was open. I don't have a question except to say I absolutely adore Versa. I don't know if she can hear me, but I adore you.
Versa, did you hear him?
Yeah, I did. I'm very flattered. Thank you.
I saw you in the room, and I had to come in. I just wanted to listen. I love everything you're saying. You are a light in a very dark COVID world, and I love it. Love you.
Thank you so much. And who are you?
I'm Casey. Well, you probably didn't hear him, but this is.
Oh, Casey. Hi, Casey. How amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's a good conversation.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate you, man.
Oh, you're welcome, Victor.
Oh, that's great. I just connected Blog Talk and Clubhouse and working all types of magic over here. Thanks to the wonderful.
Aren't you amazing? Thank you for allowing me these moments to express my viewpoints and maybe inspire someone. I hope in the way that I had to find the inspiration for myself because I had no support And, occasionally there was people there, and like my father, he was just such an amazing support in that stuff. But remember, you can't just have everything good. There are both. Where there's an up, there's a down. There's an upside and there's a downside. There's a left and there's a right. There's a dark and a light, So you can't always think, I just want to be famous and have all of this. What's the balance to that, There is a balance. So somewhere along the line, you've got to make the right choices along the way to get you to where you need to go. Trust in yourself, so you trust in the people around you, so that's going to push you to that next level. And without it, you may be in darkness for a while, and maybe that's the lesson you need to learn, to be able to turn around and say, I want more, and this is not what I need right now or want or have in my life. Anyway, I could talk like this all day long.
You're philosopher over here. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, I need to get back to work here because I'll have clients yelling at me. So anyway, well, they won't be yelling at me. It's like, why didn't you call me back? So just thank you so much for this opportunity, and let's talk again soon, at some point.
Definitely, Miss Manos. If there's anything I can do to help you, definitely let me know.
No, don't do that. My name is Versa. I'm a woman and a human being, and there are certain people that call me Miss Versa, but not today.
Okay, Versa. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right. I love it. Will you take care of yourself, and I'll take care of me, and the world will be a better place, okay?
For sure.
So I'm logging off now. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. And there you have it, everybody. That was LA-based talent manager, owner of Gorgeous Media Group, signing off. Versa Manos. She is so wonderful, as you can see by our wonderful conversation we have. For those in Clubhouse, you can go to the blogtalkradio.com/Moscova Enterprises for that recording, or just Google Moscova Media Podcast in a couple minutes, and all the links should pop up on iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, and you can listen to this recording and the wonderful Versa all you want. You can share with your friends, and thanks to all those in the audience that stopped by, especially Casey. Appreciate you, man. And thanks to everyone that listens on all our networks. We appreciate the sponsor, dancingandlife.com. We will soon have that owner on the podcast. And just thank you, Universe, because this was such a wonderful interview and, really conversation, and her sharing so much amazing insight that is basically like, you can use it in any aspect of life, and it's universal and it's ongoing. So that's really great, and I appreciate her for doing that. And to more great episodes we have on the way with more talent managers, casting directors. Gonna have a lot of great people on. Thanks to Clubhouse and of course my network that I've had. I just appreciate everybody. Just got a green screen in today, so hopefully you'll be doing video soon. And peace and love, everybody. It's your man Vikens Moscova signing out, but not signing out forever. We'll see you soon on Moscova Media Podcast. Peace and love.